It's Thursday, and you know what that means. That means it's time to ignite the dynamite the day after the dynamite. And I am Will Washington. And I just realized right as I hit start broadcast that I have to pee. So let's see how long I can keep going on this show before I leave Jeremy on his own today. But
Will Washington, I don't have to make a run-in today.
No, you don't have to make a
run-in.
I know, right? You were at Dynamite last night live in whatever arena that is in Cleveland, Ohio. It's that place where
the Wolstein Center.
Wolstein Center, yes. That was where Cody had his last AEW match.
Yep.
What else famous happened there? Let's see. AEW was there. I think I want to say in
Beach Break. That was Cole and Orange Cassidy, where it was the main event on that show. But yeah, it's mainly Cody's last match. Great CM Punk and MJF segment. Whatever happened to that guy happened on that show as well. That's the only Cleveland show that I've been to.
Yeah, because they were there in January.
Yeah,
January. Well, I want to say they were also there in 2020 though. And what happened there? I know there was a main event that was hold up. It was it Jericho and Santana and Ortiz versus Darby Allin and Private Party?
I'm going to look this up and see if you're correct. I did not live here in the awful state of Ohio in 2020, so I do not know. I was not at that one in 2020, but I'm going to look up and see if Will Washington is correct of what the main event was.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up as well, see if I can get there faster.
All right, here we go. Inner Circle, Jericho, Ortiz, Santana against Darby Allin, Private Party. There you go. AEW Dynamite. Yeah. That was Beach Break. I was like, there was another one. That was the main event. So there you go. Also on that show was Cody against Kip Sabian. He was there last night.
Yeah.
Young Bucks against Butcher and Blade. SCU against Hybrid 2. Nyla Rose and Big Swole. So a lot of people who are no longer with the company.
Yeah, it was. That's very true. I remember that show opening with the because it had a Moxley promo, and I remember that because he opened with the OH, and the crowd did the IO, and I was like, I should message Jessie to see if that's like a real thing, and she's like, of course that's a thing.
You didn't know that was a thing?
I'm not from Ohio.
I mean,
what do I know about Ohio?
I don't know. I even knew that was a thing just by watching like Ohio State football games and whatnot. Knew that was a thing. Because the best is when Moxley goes to Japan and he's like, "Hi," or he's like, "Oh," and they're like, "Hi-oh," and they think they're just saying hi, and he's trying to lead a OHIO chant, and the Japanese crowd just thinks they're saying hi. It's awesome. There's a great clip of that somewhere.
That actually rules. Hey, leave us a thumbs up and send us your super chats and your humper chats. We'll get those read here on the show. This is obviously a very, very hell, I have to tell you. So the first person I pitched day after Dynamite to was Mr. Jeremy Lambert, guy to my stage left. And when I pitched day after Dynamite back in January, I think it might have been December, but regardless, I know I started it early in the year, but
it was January.
It was January. When I pitched the day after Dynamite, the idea behind it wasn't necessarily to just recap Dynamite again, because thing is, Fightful has Dynamite fairly well covered on Wednesdays, but I was noticing that Thursdays just happened to be a really newsworthy day coming out of Dynamite, that sometimes we would talk about these things, we would talk about them on the post shows, and then the next day, all of a sudden, any questions we had in the post show, we'd have answers for. And so I wanted to make sure that we had a show where we kind of got to talk about those things, talk about ratings, pretty much talk about anything that's coming out of Dynamite. Let me tell you, the last 2 episodes have truly served their purpose, right? Like, I felt like last week's episode was what I pitched the day after Dynamite for, when we actually had like some big news stories, some stuff to talk about, and guess what? We got it again today. This is
your pitch.
This is
your pitch, by the way, was great. It's like people want me to do a Dynamite review. Can I do it? And this we had to rebrand like the secondary again and everything. And I was just like looking for content. And you're like, hey, what do you think of this? I want to do dad jokes. I want to do, talk about ratings, talk about news coming out. What do you think? What time? I was like, you're Will Washington. Whatever you want to do, I don't care. Just let me know. However I can support you. I legit said this to you in the DM. I was like, you are Will Washington. Whatever you want to do, we'll make this work. Okay. Like we'll make it happen. And so like, I know the time changed a couple of times, but I know you want to incorporate ratings and everything. I was just happy to have you as part of the channel in any way and to have you, because I know you wanted to review Dynamite. And I was just like, yes, Will, you can do whatever you want. You are the best. So go for it. And I'm glad it is now, we're getting a bunch of news on Wednesdays. And we're going to be live on this show when the rating comes out. And I'm sure that's going to lead to a bunch of discourse given what they put on there last night.
We got 45 minutes till it hits, and we'll know everything. I mean, I'll say this. I know there's obviously a lot of interest in that world title match. And we know that because look at the YouTube numbers already. They put the whole match up because, hey, it's the rare time they can. I like how AEW's like, full match. And,
such a UFC thing to do. Full fight highlights are up there. And it's like, yeah, full match.
Yeah, they put full match. Well, because, WWE puts up full match. They mean full match. And like AEW did mean full match here, but it wasn't any longer than most of their clips, right? But they put full match, AEW world title on the line, Jon Moxley versus CM Punk. Being set like 1.1 million last I checked. So it's doing pretty good. People are definitely very interested in seeing what happened. And let me tell you, Jeremy, I tweeted this out, but I was 5 minutes behind the entire show.
Oh.
And so usually I do that so that I can like kind of skip through commercial breaks. And so I was 5 minutes behind, and the world title match starts, and I swear to you, the entrance is finished, and my phone just starts vibrating nonstop, and I'm like, that's weird. Did something happen mid-match? Because I'm only 5 minutes behind, and I see Reg texted, and he's like, welp, and that's all Reg had said, and then Denise messages me and she's like, what happened? And I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? I'm still 5 minutes behind. But obviously I might as well catch the show up because I don't know what I missed. And I instantly catch it up. And I see Jon Moxley with both belts. And I just flabbergasted. I didn't even know what to expect here. I didn't know that was going to go down. There are a few things I did know was going to go down. But as far as that was concerned, no idea. Not a clue. I thought they might find a way out. They did not find a way out.
I think when they booked this match, the prior week, everyone was coming up with different booking scenarios. I thought like my prediction was clean finish, Punk wins, MJF comes out. There's your new all out main event. That was my like official kind of prediction there. And then I don't think anybody really predicted 4-minute squash match. This is what we're doing here. Like I was stunned. I was absolutely stunned.
Yeah. I mean, I knew we weren't going to see MJF. I had asked a few people in the company about that, and the response I got was, I haven't heard from him. I wasn't expecting to hear from him, but there are no signs that he's anywhere nearby. And I was like, okay. I said I thought so because I feel like there'd be some kind of like little traces of things like, oh, there's somebody backstage who's being hidden, something along those lines. None of that was around. Nobody was talking like that. And so I'm like, look, Twitter is like really convinced themselves that MJF is coming back tonight. And
Yeah. Me
and
too.
the response I was getting was, no, I don't know what to tell you, but I don't see any signs of any like mystery person coming in, anything along those lines. And so
We love working ourselves on Twitter, right? Like, not everyone has connections like you, Will Washington, but the rest of us love working ourselves on Twitter.
I do think he'll be at All Out. I do think that they've already promoted a Joker scenario. They have the casino ladder match happening, and we know there's a mystery person in it. As a matter of fact, at the moment, they're all mystery people.
Yeah.
But because they haven't announced anybody for it. But of course, the way the casino ladder match works, it's a match AEW's done twice, but it is a match where we do see, 6 participants and then a 7th Joker. And so the first time they did it, Brian Cage was the Joker, and he won. The second time they did it, Hangman Adam Page was the Joker. He won, went on to beat Kenny Omega for the world title. And so I feel like Jeremy's favorite thing, the rankings, they still kind of use those. And so thinking about how you would get MJF even into a title scenario, knowing that, I mean, he literally was squashed in his last match that we saw. Like, this is a guy who actually hasn't won much at all. Matter of fact, if I think about this, what were his last 3 matches? It was one losing to Wardlow. Before that, losing to Shawn Dean. Before that, he lost
in
CM
the
Punk.
dog collar match. Yeah.
And so I feel like he doesn't necessarily have any claim to a title match at all. But the way you could get him there is the casino ladder match. That is their little shortcut. That is doesn't matter what your record is, you leapfrog everybody to become number 1 contender by grabbing this chip from the top of a ladder. So that's my thinking. I don't know who they put in the match though. And
well, if you're going to use the rankings, then you throw in, it feels like they're doing, like Hangman should probably be in it. Everybody else ranked already has a match. I mean, Darby doesn't officially have a match, but it seems like they're leaning one way towards that. Everybody else has a match on the show. So I'm sure Orange Cassidy will be in there, assuming they lose in the trios match. They love him. And that's,
I don't think he loses the trios match though.
You think they beat whoever comes out of Dark Order and House of Black?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay. I think it's setting up Dark Order and the Elite as the trios match.
I think I don't know. I feel like they're setting it up, but my gut tells me as far as pay-per-view matches are concerned, I feel like they would want to have kind of the best match possible for the Elite, and I think that's Best Friends.
Okay. Fair. I mean, it's a better match than the Dark Order match, but I think they're going more story because they're already going to have a great Elite match with the United Empire next week. So I think they're going to go more story, and that's where we're going to get Dark Order.
I don't know. Because I actually think the Best Friends could win the whole thing. I think that they
see. Well, you're a scoopster now, and so when you say these things, now I think
I don't
things.
No, I don't know anything. I don't know anything other than the fact that I think about I just think about things. I think about there is the last time AEW did foregone conclusion kind of stuff. They swerved us with foregone conclusion. We know that the Young Bucks are going to be the first tag team champions, and then they weren't. And it's that
might have been a mistake, though. That might have been a mistake.
I mean, it got me Kenny and Hangman as tag champions, as the second tag champs, and they, I think, to this day, were the best tag champs. So I don't know, but before we get to all of that, I'm being asked to read Humper Chats, and those are at humperchats.com. Send us your Humper Chats. They help support what we do here. Of course, I meant to type in Streamlabs, and I typed in StreamYard, and there we go. Let's see. We've got JP asks, what about Will Ospreay at All Out? Oh, wait, these weren't even mine. These are from last night. You know what? I still read your Humper chat again, so you got that a second time. But yeah. Why am I being asked to read Humper chats? Like, there's nothing new here.
Who said this? We'll fight him.
Yeah, but we do have a super chat. Jeremy Lambert, overbooked, underpaid, so on the nose.
Will Washington was so proud of that description that he gave me. We were backstage as he was doing the overlay, and he's like, "You were changing Sean's from last week. You're not managing editor and news guy." I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what I am. Like, I'm just here, present." And you just like started cackling. And I'm like, "Oh no, I don't know what you have." And then he came up overbooked, underpaid. And I was like, "Yeah, that works. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm overbooked today, doing way too many shows on way too little sleep."
Mm-hmm. But let's talk about where the show opened. So the show opened up with Judas in Your Mind. And man, I was looking all around and I'm like, are we going to see Jeremy singing Judas? We didn't see Jeremy singing Judas.
I was hard cam side, so.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's where they stick the media folks.
Yeah.
And
so they stick the folks that get comped and don't, you know.
Oh yeah. I definitely know that.
Yes.
And sometimes you'll find yourself with like Impact wrestlers over there.
I didn't see any Impact wrestlers. That'd have been cool.
Oh no, it depends on where you are, but I'm just saying that can happen depending on the
Virgil was there last night. Virgil was wandering around the arena last night. He comes to these shows up here in the north whatever all the time. He's at Pittsburgh earlier this year, wandering around. Virgil just he loves hanging out at the AEW shows.
But yeah, we had Jericho make his way out, and he is going to call out, as advertised, Daniel Garcia. And I have to say, I was watching this thinking the whole time, is somebody going to slip up because you've got a Daniel in there, and is somebody going to screw up and say Daniel Bryan? And go figure, the person who fucking did it was Bryan Danielson, and Bryan Danielson's his real name. And I'm like, oh, Daniel Garcia and Bryan Danielson in a promo. But yeah, so this was the time we got to see Daniel Garcia at his most vulnerable. We've seen him in AEW pretty much playing a little bit of a cocky shithead since he's been around. It's been about a year now, a little over a year since he's been in AEW. And that's pretty much all we've seen from him. But this time, we got a little bit of depth here. We got to see him be a little bit more vulnerable, and he talked about the fact that he didn't care about any of that stuff. The only thing he cared about was that was his moment with a guy that has been his hero, and his mentor Jericho ruined it. And Jericho gave the little backhanded apology. He said, I'm sorry that you felt that way.
Yeah.
But Daniel Garcia wanted an apology himself. Or no, Jericho wanted an apology for Daniel Garcia. Out comes Bryan Danielson. See, I almost did it. Out comes Bryan Danielson. And he basically puts an end to all of this.
Yeah, he's like, you're a wrestler. Like, you're not a sports entertainer. You're a wrestler.
The crowd chanted, "You're a wrestler." I do have to say, I hope this sports entertainer stuff dies like yesterday. And a big reason for that. Well, I mean, the main reason is because the thing it's referencing no longer exists.
Yeah.
And so what are we doing anymore? Like, now we're poking fun at the term sports entertainer when the guy who pushed the term sports entertainer doesn't exist anymore. We've seen on the other show that they call themselves wrestlers on that show. So like, what is
it's still
what is a sports entertainer in that case?
It's a great bit though. Like, even though like sports entertainment is dead because Vince is gone or whatever, like it's still a great, like when Jericho says like you're the greatest technical sports entertainer out there.
I love that. I think that's so the funniest good shit. I agree. I think that is one of the funniest terms possibly of all time.
Like it's such a good bit, even if sports entertainment is no longer as much of a thing. in WWE. Like, I still love the bit, and I absolutely love this segment. I thought Daniel Garcia was great, where he's like, you're putting my mentor and my hero, like, why are you doing this to me in public? Like, the range of emotions he showed, the way he just, like, the vulnerability, like you said, that he showed, like, he felt like Daniel Garcia is what, like 22, 23, like
23,
he's being put in a very tough spot by two people he looks up to and respects. It's like mom and dad fighting out here, and like he's just caught in the middle of it, of like, okay, which way am I supposed to go here? And I thought Garcia was brilliant in this segment.
Yes.
Jericho, always good at what he does in these types of things, and Danielson, very good as well, setting up the match. But man, Garcia, I've been high on Daniel Garcia like since he came to AEW, just based on like his technical wrestling and just his overall wrestling ability. And people are like, yeah, but like can't act, doesn't have charisma and stuff. It's like, yeah, this is what they said about Bryan Danielson. And like, look at this guy. Like, there's different types of charisma. There's different types of acting and emotions. And Garcia, a lot like Danielson, when Danielson is doing like his retirement promo and his comeback promo, like the ability to connect on an emotional human level like that is something that not a lot of wrestlers can do. And I thought Daniel Garcia did that like just excellently last night.
I fully agree. I think that Daniel Garcia here, to me, I think it was very much a Bryan Danielson type situation, right? Where, except I feel like the fans kind of stuck him with it, because like WWE like really hammered it in when Bryan first came in.
Right.
Where's your charisma? This guy doesn't have charisma. This guy can't talk. He has no personality. But like, all he had to do was show us, and we knew that he did. And and I feel like Garcia kind of always has shown us that he has personality. He has always shown us charisma. And this just showed that there was a little more depth behind it. And yeah, I like this a lot. But of course he leaves, and that leaves us with Bryan Danielson. Man, Daniel Garcia is throwing me off here.
He shoved Chris Jericho. He
shoved Chris Jericho
down. And Danielson's cackle when that happened was fantastic as well.
And Danielson, him and Jericho get into it, and basically they set up a match. Lionheart again versus the American Dragon. This should be fun.
It should be good. I mean,
it's a match we've only seen on television 2 times. And when we saw it the first time, it was the first episode of NXT. It was the debut, actually, on television of Bryan Danielson as Daniel Bryan. Jericho, of course, won that match. But we didn't see it again so that was in 2010. We didn't see it again till 2013 in an Elimination Chamber qualifying match. And then after that, we didn't see that match again. And now they're 2 entirely different people.
Yeah, it's a fresh match. It's going to be good. Danielson, I mean, I think everyone knows. If you don't know, that's the GOAT, in my opinion. Like, that's my favorite wrestler. That's who I think is the best of all time. Your camera is going crazy, Will.
I'm trying to get it to refocus
on things.
There we go.
I think Danielson's the absolute best. So I have very high expectations from him. And Jericho, like, look, he's 50 years old now, but can still put on a good performance, especially against the right people. And Bryan Danielson is the right people. I want to ask you though, Will, like, if you're Tony Khan, if you're AEW, where are you going with Daniel Garcia? Like, do you have him go with Danielson, or do you have him stay with Jericho?
Oh, definitely don't have him stay with Jericho. I think that this is one of those places you can have, like we saw how well the payoff with Yuta worked. And I think going with it is probably the right call. But at the same time, I could absolutely see this all being a swerve and him ultimately going with his mentor. I don't know. But at the same time, I feel like Garcia, being the wrestler he is, would want to face Chris Jericho. That's another one that I feel like he would want to get to tie it up with and have just a bunch of solid showings with. I don't know. I don't think we are fully in store for any shenanigans here. I actually think that with the fans being behind Garcia now, they're chanting "You're a wrestler." They want to see him wrestle. I could see him going BCC.
I think he can still have great wrestling matches against a variety of people. I mean, he's proven that as part of the Jericho Appreciation Society. I think if you go to BCC, like you're still a little overshadowed by Danielson and Moxley, and even to an extent Claudio. And like, I don't want to see him just like be BCC B team out there. It's like, cool, you're having great matches, but like you can just have great matches still with Jericho. And you can also be a little bit more prominent because like with Jericho, like Sammy's there, but Sammy's also like sort of outside Jericho Appreciation Society.
Sammy hasn't been there for
yeah, he hasn't.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh at that because look, ultimately on paper, it is a funny situation. And like I tried not like I even tweeted, I was like, I don't mean to throw fuel on the fire. And then I turned to Reddit and people were like, hey, Will just confirmed all of this. And I'm like, I guess I threw fuel on the fire. As far as the two major stories that have come out about Sammy Guevara and Eddie Kingston. And Eddie Kingston did confirm that what took place did take place, that he did indeed, after some nasty remarks from Sammy Guevara, he did indeed take a swing at Sammy. Everything I heard about that situation at the time, everything I heard was that there wasn't a whole lot of contention. I mean, obviously there was in the actual situation, but as far as the suspension and everything was concerned, it was pretty much like Eddie took it, and Tony was very much like dude, you know what you did here, like, and you know we can't have that backstage. Like I saw some people trying to paint it as, oh look, Eddie Kingston's now on the outs with the company. Like, no, there was a solid understanding from what I know that everybody knew what happened here, and Eddie Kingston owns that he acted unprofessionally. That's it, and he said that today. And that's that situation.
The fiance would like me to relay that Eddie Kingston is a hero. So that is her opinion. That does not represent the opinion of Fightful.com. It is the opinion of the fiance that Eddie Kingston is a hero and Sammy Guevara is not a
hero. I mean, look, they I feel like, and I got a text from an older wrestler today, and it helped give context that I wanted to save this for day after Dynamite. I was going to tweet it, and then I was like, nah, save it. And what it said, and I actually enjoyed this quite a bit, because they were kind of framing the fact that everybody's talking about all of the backstage issues happening in AEW as of late because they're newsworthy. They are very much newsworthy. But the way it was put to me by an older wrestler who's been kind of around the block, he said that while it's probably news because the first couple of years of AEW were very, rah-rah, and everybody was like,
kumbaya. Very
kumbaya. We're all on the same team kind of thing. He's like, dude, like, if you survived the 90s, you know that, like, this is fucking normal. Like, Undertaker would walk into this locker room and go, all right, this is my kind of locker room. Punching guys in the face. That's what we do.
Knives and guns, baby. Let's go. Taker's all about that shit. He's going to sign with AEW. He's like, they ain't got them fucking video games there. They got knives and guns. This is what I'm here for.
Like, I honestly would love to hear now what, like, the old podcasters who, like, kind of rag on the softer culture of wrestlers today, as they like to say. I would love to hear what they have to say about this. This is the one time where I will probably listen to every single podcast just to hear exactly what, like, older wrestlers have to say about all of this, because to them, they were like, nah, this is what I'm used to. wrestlers getting along. What is this?
It's going to depend on like like Booker T's going to be like, Tony Khan's got a problem. He's got a problem on his hands with all of these people.
Oh, yeah.
Booker
T, the guy who got in a fist fight with Batista at the SummerSlam 06 photo shoot.
He's going to be like, you can't be doing this stuff. Like, this is just not a good culture out there. That's what Booker T is going to say. Like 100%. It depends on like where they sit on things. Yeah, if they don't like AEW, they're going to continue to not like AEW if they got WWE affiliation. Road Dogg is going to say some dumb shit, I'm sure. Like if they got WWE ties, they're going to still just be like, oh, this is an issue. But yeah, it's like 90s. I tweeted it today. I was like, AEW just said it's 96, 97 WWF phase. Like, here we go. Like boom period's coming. This is what happened regularly.
Well, the funny thing too is, so the other story that came out, of course, yesterday was about the mandatory talent meeting, which, bless his heart, Max Caster tried to reference, and nobody in the crowd got.
I felt bad because he says this line, and I'm like, oh, and like nobody else said anything, and I was like, was I the only person who reacted to that? Like, did I get picked up on camera of like the only reaction to that line? It's like, I got it, but it seemed like nobody else in the crowd gave a damn about that line.
No, that was a little too insider, I think. And
yes, it's an inside audience, but man, no reaction.
You'd be surprised how not inside it is.
Oh, I'm kind of with you. Like I said today, is like, there's 8,000 subscribers to Fightful Select. That's a lot. That's, we're the biggest kind of platform on that stuff. But like 8,000 compared to 1 million people who watch AEW is very small potatoes. So yeah, I don't think it's as inside as a lot of people think it is, but I still thought there would be enough people in the audience who would be like, oh, talent meeting. Like, yeah, but nothing.
No, I talk to people in the crowd all the time. I love making conversation with people. And when I remember I sat it was in Vegas at the Go Home Dynamite to Double or Nothing. And I was sitting next to this guy who basically got all his news off of like Instagram, right? He's like, yeah, I don't even use Twitter. He's like, it's too complicated for me. I use Instagram, right? And like, he would get like Sean Ross Sapp scoops in like the most roundabout way. Like he just got him out of like memes, right? That was how he got it. But he was a big AEW fan. He's like, I watch it on TV every week. But to him, none of it, like as far as any news was concerned, he got it from his scrolling, and that was pretty much it. But I do think there is a little too much emphasis sometimes from people in both wrestling media and I think in the industry, because of the fact that people in the industry are pretty much have their ear to the ground, and they hear all this stuff, they see it, they're so attached to it that as far as they're concerned, to a lot of them, they see this as the fan base. But then like when you get out in front of people and it's like, no, that's actually still a really small portion of it.
Yeah.
Which is why I think it's silly when I hear anybody say that the Smarks are all that's watching now. And it's like, do you realize, like, look how many tweets are going off at any given point during like Dynamite, for example. Dynamite will usually get probably about, I think it's 70,000 tweets during an episode. And that's also assuming that multiple people are tweeting at the same time. So then you have to assume that even if you take that at face value, 70,000, that's still a small portion of 1 million.
Yeah, it's very small potatoes compared to like what people think. Like, oh, they're only appealing to the smarks and the hardcore fans. It's like, I mean, they are to an extent with some of this stuff, but that ain't a huge audience. There's clearly an audience out there that just isn't as plugged in as we all are. And sometimes I do think AEW should try to do a little bit better to be in touch with that audience that isn't so plugged in. And I will get to those comments later.
Yeah. Orion Ben 666 says, where are those guys who said Garcia can't act? But
they got put in a bin last night. Daniel Garcia with his tears just put him in a body bag. That's where
they'll move the goalpost to something else. See, Nathan says, I think Garcia goes solo. Look at Danielson laughing while he's going through a crisis of conscience. That's his hero.
It's a good point.
Good point. It's a very good point.
Yeah.
Pro Wrestling Podcast says, Danielson wanted Garcia and Moriarty from the jump. Get those younger guys with some veterans. I like it.
I don't want BCC JV squad out there with Moriarty. He just aligned with Stokely like 5 weeks ago that there was no real follow up on. Like I don't want that. Let Garcia be solo. Let him stay with Jericho. Do something different.
EVP of Talent Relations, head of creative, says Eddie Kingston is a hero.
That is the opinion of EVP of Talent Relations, head of creative, and the fiance, not all of Fightful.
And Pro Wrestling Podcast says, your guys' takes on Billy Gunn's AEW structure?
So this is an old take that is new again because Billy Gunn just did a recent interview with Renee. But he said this like early in the run of AEW. So I guess the fact that like it hasn't changed isn't great, but this is not like a new revelation from Billy Gunn of him saying like, yeah, AEW structure like isn't what like it's more wild west. Because I remember writing this article. I'll Google it right now.
If anybody's gonna remember this stuff, it is definitely Jeremy. Also, you know who also said that? Cody. As a matter of fact, I believe Cody used the words punk rock. He said that when he signed with WWE, he said AEW has more of a punk rock vibe behind the scenes, and that WWE is more of a corporate structure, and it's a little bit of a different strokes thing, but also, yeah, we've seen the benefits of both, and we've seen the downsides of both, and I think we're starting to see some of the cracks, of course, in the punk rock vibe. But whatever, I'm still enjoying the shit on TV, and that's what Reg was saying last night when somebody had tweeted about how some of this stuff isn't good as far as these behind the scenes squabbles, and Reg was like, man, behind the scenes squabbles have been happening since like we've known pro wrestling. What does that affect what happens on TV?
Right.
Because I've noticed some squabbles, and I've told you about a couple, I think. Maybe I did. But I've known about some squabbles behind the scenes that never made it public, that probably never will. And things ended up okay after the fact. Or there's a few people behind the scenes that just don't speak to each other. We know what the biggest one of that is, but there's others who like do not make eye contact at all.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't affect the on-screen product. And I mean, I think kind of in the case of Punk's call out of Hangman, it has a little bit of effect on the on-screen product. But if it doesn't, cool. What happens behind the scenes, like we were just saying, that stuff is for a very small audience who like knows about it. There's a good chance that a good portion of the audience has no idea about any of this stuff.
None. Hey, we got a match though. Dax Harwood versus Jay Lethal.
Great match.
Going back to the thing that we talked about on Grapsity. I know he's not everybody's favorite person.
Everyone loves Dax Harwood.
Not the one I was talking about. But it turns out that's probably why turning him heel was the right call. Because as we've said on Grapsity multiple times, Jay Lethal kind of hasn't had a miss since he signed. And that's a thing I think nobody really wants to wrap their head around. But again, talking strictly about the on-screen product and what I see on screen, Jay Lethal's kind of had all hits match-wise.
Yeah, it's true. And you know, it's not tough for me to admit. I have no problem admitting it. I'm not the biggest Jay Lethal fan, but if you are just talking on screen, he does his role very well. Could they have someone else who is maybe more likable do that role? Yes, but they have gone with Jay Lethal, and I get it. He does have some cachet to him from his Ring of Honor time, and he has very good matches. Jay Lethal is a good professional wrestler. That doesn't mean I got to completely like the actions he has done, not as a professional wrestler.
I mean, it's interesting because everybody was kind of putting the match itself on Dax Harwood. And they're like, oh, Dax has another one. But like Jay Lethal has been having bangers all year. And yeah, he hasn't missed. He hasn't been missing. Dax Harwood versus Jay Lethal is another one. Yeah, and I thought the match was fun. I thought it was great, actually. And it was the... I don't know. It was definitely the most wrestling match on this show in terms of getting kind of down to the ground and doing what Dax Harwood does best. But yeah, Dax Harwood and Jay Lethal just went out there, had a great match. Jay Lethal wins with the roll up and a handful of tights, but I feel like this was very back and forth. A lot of time that this one got too, a ton of time. Crowd was very, very into it.
Yeah, it was a really good match. And as far as just like kind of the old school style of wrestling, work a limb, stick to a psychology, everyone loves that word. Like this was certainly that match, and the crowd was into it. People really like Dax Harwood, and it's easy to see why. The man loves pro wrestling, and he's also a very good professional wrestler. And Jay Lethal works a good match. There's nothing technically wrong. There's nothing technically wrong with Jay Lethal as a pro wrestler.
No. But the biggest announcement we got out of this, holy shit, was post-match. They reminded us the 6-man is still on, a 6-man match that a lot of people aren't really into. They are now because, yes, Jay Lethal will be teaming up with a tag team in the 6-man match against the remaining 3 members of the Pinnacle. But it's not the team.
That's not fair to Sean Spears. Sean Spears is still around somewhere.
Hey, and Sean Spears actually tweeted, he quote tweeted them with the Pinnacle, or just with the little mountain emoji. So
he's there somewhere.
But we actually got it announced that Jay Lethal's going to be teaming at All Out with the Motor City Machine Guns.
Hey, the fan in me, my personal fandom, I love this. I love Motor City Machine Guns. I've praised them many, many times. Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, great team, innovative team. They should get, oh my gosh. Oh man, I'm not doing a run-in today.
Listen, this is a talent meeting. And
this is my
Shut up!
spot.
Shut up! I want you to know I have sent
See, I can just do that.
I have sent Wrestling Inc. a letter warning them about contract tampering. And I will not settle for it. You fat pieces of shit.
Start swinging on site, Sean.
I'm wondering who was going to do the run-in.
It's me.
What have you been doing?
Crack, apparently.
Yeah, you are way too fired up. I mean, I'm usually on here with the run-in.
Got an onboarding meeting with a sponsor because, I sell them. Unlike some people around here who undermine, I don't know, I was going to say our upcoming pay-per-view match, but Will's going and Jeremy will be working that night. So,
yeah, I'm going to be working a ton that entire weekend. So that's good. I'm going to need some of that crack.
I'm going to be hiding in the toilet.
That's fair.
That's what I'm going to be doing.
You know what's funny is that's the next thing we have to talk about.
Not me. Good to see you guys.
Before Sean so rudely interrupted my criticism of AEW, as much as I pop for the Motor City Machine Guns, I can see as a television viewer, if you were just like, who are these guys? Like we've not seen them on our show. We've been building. I'm going to be that guy, Will Washington.
Don't be that guy.
We've been building towards this trios match of Jay Lethal, Satnam Singh, and Sanjay Dutt. We've been building this, And then we get Motor City Machine Guns, who have not been on AEW television. Why are they cool with Jay Lethal? What Jay Lethal is a bad guy. Motor City Machine Guns are good people. Like, why are they cool with Jay Lethal all of a sudden out here? I don't, just because they're TNA originals, cool. Like, what beef do they have
That's
with FTR and Wardlow?
That works
It's a
for
great,
me. They have
it's
a lot of
great
history.
match.
They even said we called in a favor. Like, hey, these are guys that obviously Jay Lethal's known a long time. They're both in Ring of Honor. They're both in TNA. Shit works.
It's a great match.
You know what? I not only hate that argument, I hate that argument when it comes to literally anyone, because I don't understand how we can still have that conversation knowing how many guys were introduced that way. And like, it's only been in like the last year or so that people have started making that, oh, well, how are you just going to debut this person? This is going to be confusing. Like, did you ask that
hilarious.
question when Eddie Kingston just showed up and challenged Cody? No, because
Eddie Kingston came out and talked a bunch of shit and told us who he was, and he's like,
no, he was just like mad
here
for no reason. As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
that was it's funny in hindsight because he did that interview on Swerve City Podcast where he talked about how that was the second take of that promo. So of course, that's why the first line he says is, "No, we're gonna get this right," because he apparently had said Cody Rhodes and they didn't have the rights to the name Cody Rhodes at first, so they made him redo the whole promo. But like, there was no context to who Eddie Kingston was other than, all right, this is just kind of a badass dude who's being dropped into the show. If you know Eddie Kingston, this is cool. If not, you're going to get to know him. And same with Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks was just dropped into the show. That was it. It wasn't like
they got promo time, though. They got promo time.
Ricky Starks didn't get promo time.
Ricky got a little video package and
he got
everything
one
beforehand.
little tiny video thing that was just like, I'm Ricky Starks. I'm about to have a match.
Okay, but this is an open challenge scenario as well. So you kind of expect, all right, just random person comes out here.
I'm just saying AEW has gotten by on just dropping people into the show, and eventually you get to know them, or you don't, and they go away forever. Who fucking cares? This is how the show works.
My issue with this is that I know the Motor City Machine Guns. They're not appealing. Like, they popped me. They did their job with that. They certainly popped me. If I am just a regular watcher who's trying to follow week to week, and I've been watching this big build towards Satnam Singh, Sanjay Dutt, Jay Lethal that's been happening for like a month now against FTR and Wardlow, and then all of a sudden I get Motor City Machine Guns thrown in there, and I've never seen these guys on my TV before, I might be a little bit confused. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And somebody mentioned of like, oh, casuals can Google and YouTube, and they certainly can. And you know what? They'll probably be like, oh yeah, this is a much better match than Sanjay and Satnam Singh. Like, I don't really care to see that. But they've been building towards this on weekly television, and then it's just, hey, we called in a favor. This is the match we're going to do. I can see just a regular try to week viewer who doesn't Google, who doesn't do all of that stuff, be like, why is this happening? And that, look, if they explain it next week, which is certainly possible, they can easily do that, then awesome. But as far as just like, I'm going to pop the people for this match, I could see why not everybody popped for this. And because we've never seen Motor City Machine Guns before.
I think
it popped me. It popped me.
I think had Motor City Machine Guns like actually been there, I think
a spoiler, somebody was there, but for some reason they were not used. They did not come out, but one of them was there.
I mean, obviously, like the shots that they took that they used for the versus graphic were obviously done by AEW's production team. So it's like you've had access to them at some point, but I don't know. I'm cool, but we had an announcement that the AEW Women's World Champion Thunder Rosa has sustained an injury and will not be able to compete at All Out, and therefore the fourth AEW / Ring of Honor Championship this year to have an interim champion will take place. The Women's Championship will see an interim champion crowned. The match that was supposed to be Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa is now a 4-way between Thunder Rosa, Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker, and now Hikaru Shida. I think the 4-way was always going to happen. That was something I've been saying on the show for weeks.
Really?
That I think that Britt and Jamie were always going to be added to it. That Britt had this match scheduled with Kylan King, and when you look at the rankings, they even moved Jamie Hayter into the top without her doing anything. And I think that was all. I think that was all. Like the latest rankings came out, and they moved in Jamie Hayter, and I thought she didn't have a match to move up. But
she was on TV,
But I thought
everybody gets moved up.
But I thought you're setting up a 4-way, aren't you? This is where this is going. But especially because they just did the 1-on-1 at Forbidden Door. But
yeah, I don't know if they were setting up a 4-way. I mean, maybe you could be completely right.
Well, I was thinking about Britt's promo from last week, but either way,
right?
Thunder Rosa can't compete, and therefore. And yeah, so there's some rumors out there right now as far as that's all concerned. And rumors about a squabble between Jamie Hayter and Thunder Rosa and kind of a divided women's locker room. I will say that the thing that I said on Twitter that I heard about after it happened, immediately after it happened, wasn't the Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara thing. That was the stuff going around with Thunder Rosa and Jamie Hayter. I will say I heard about that during the Battle of the Belts taping where that aired. And somebody on Twitter was like, hey, Will kind of hinted that during Rhapsody that something went down during that match. That was the thing I was talking about. But yeah, there's stuff. Sean's working on putting together a report as far as all of that is concerned. So FightfulSelect.com is how you get all of the true details on that matter. But yeah, I will say that I had heard about that the day it happened, and all of the stuff leading into it throughout the day. So I will say it was stuff that was building up because I heard earlier in the day just about mood around the locker room and certain things happening. And then the match happens. And again, it was pre-taped, so it's not like I was watching it live. I just got a message that was like, oh boy, after that match, not good. So as far as the rumor going around that Thunder Rosa is not actually injured, I know there's a lot of people who believe that, but from what I've heard, that's not true. That she does have a nagging, saw the word disc used. So
yeah, it said back injury is what I think PW Insider.
Okay, I didn't know PW Insider did something about that. I want to make sure there's credit to PW Insider on that story. So yeah, there's stuff to it. Again, smoke and fire, guys. But it's because I saw immediately because I know, like, look, it's one of those, if you have favorites and you want them to stay your favorites, you kind of just have to stay off the internet, because stuff's going to come out that may make people not your favorites anymore. And I
mean,
go
I'm with
with
you.
what I go with what Phil Lindsay said on Saturday. You don't know none of these people. Like, that's it. You don't know any of these people. You watch them on TV, and that is kind of what it is. But we are going to see a new champion. And as I tweeted, and this was one of those, I got excited about this fact because as a big Hikaru Shida fan, as soon as they announced her in the match, I immediately went, oh, she's now the only woman to have worked every All Out, and she's been on the main card every time. She faced Riho at the first All Out. At the second one, she faced Thunder Rosa. At the third one, she was originally not going to be on the card because the Casino Battle Royale was originally on the buy-in, and then they ended up moving it to the main show, which then meant that, hey, that was still true even last year. And now Hikaru Shida getting in this 4-way makes her, or puts her in that match. Hey, speaking of which, I know I had reported earlier in the day that Shida faced Emi Sakura We had the Wave title on the line. How was that?
It was a good match. Yeah, it was good. I don't want to spoil anything, but it was good. Everyone should watch Elevation to go out of their way and check it out. She did good. I'm glad. What more do you want, Will? Do you want me to tell you who won, how they won? Like, no, Will.
Okay.
Everybody watches Dark Elevation. Okay, everybody, all the AEW fans watch all the AEW shows to keep up with this stuff. That's how they know who Motor City Machine Guns are. Will, they don't watch just the regular shows. They keep up with everything. And if they don't, they can Google it. So I'm not going to spoil it because I don't want to give it away to everybody.
Okay.
Play into all of it now.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I heard good things.
It was good
from people in the arena. Good. I am very glad. Because the one thing when it comes to Hikaru Shida, that just seems to remain true, and I hope more people get that opportunity. It is that when it comes to AEW, everybody's best match is with Hikaru Shida. And
I hope she wins at the pay-per-view. I think she should get a run in front of fans, because most of her run was not in front of fans.
She lost the title in front of fans. That was it.
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't remember exactly when she had won the title, if that came in front of fans. My memory is very bad when it comes. I do not have the Will Washington memory.
That was at Double or Nothing 2020. No fans in the building.
Okay.
And then she lost it at 2021, and that had fans. That was it. Her only title defense with a full arena of fans was the one she lost it in. But yeah, I do feel like every time I hear about certain people's best matches, it's always like Penelope Ford got to have her best match with Hikaru Shida, and Ty Conti got to have her best match with Hikaru Shida, and the match that put Britt Baker on the map was with Hikaru Shida. And that's just continually how it goes. She is everybody's best match, and there's a reason for that. I would like to see her get a second run. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would like to see her get a second run. There's my phone vibrating with ratings. I already saw them in the chat.
We got the ratings. Yeah, people.
Yeah, we do.
We're throwing them in there.
Yeah, so
they did over 1 million. They
did.
Sorry, did I spoil?
You did. I usually get to that at the end of the show, Jeremy Lambert.
Sorry,
but
people are talking about it. People are very excited that they did over 1 million. So good for them.
And Ray Slaver says rankings. Abaddon is 34-3 and stuck on Dark.
Yeah, I mean the rankings don't. I don't like the rankings. They don't matter. They just kind of use them as a crutch to whenever they want to use them. But Jay Lethal's ranked in the top 5. He's stuck in this trios match. He should be couldn't he get just a TNT title shot? You know, we'll talk about the Acclaimed here in a second. They're getting title shot, which is great. I love the Acclaimed, but they ain't the top team. Top team's in a trios match.
They're ranked.
They are ranked, but they're not ranked number 1.
They never said you had to be number 1 to get a shot. You just have to be in the top 5. They've said that since day one.
I feel like the number 1 team should maybe get a title shot, considering they haven't had one and they're on the show just in a random trios match.
You know, I don't want FTR to get a shot because, at least not yet. I feel like, look, I get it. I get why people want FTR to get the shot, but FTR has multiple things to fall back on, right? Like, hey, they have Ring of Honor tag titles that they can defend and do something with. They have the IWGP belts. They've got the AAA tag team title. There's stuff they can do, whereas you can use the other belts to put some other teams on the map, and they're doing that. And I actually am preferring that right now. I get it. I'm related to one half of the World Tag Team Champions. And I said this on Twitter, but as people who watch the After Dynamite know, that edit I made to Swerve's theme song, adding the Who's House to the beginning. The thing I was picturing when I came up with that and when I made that change to a song was exactly the use it got last night. Because we did see Billy Gunn versus Colton Gunn. We talked about Max Caster's rap. And Colton got the victory. But then...
that match was way too long.
It was only 6 minutes and 16 seconds and still too long for
Really?
you.
It felt like forever. It really did. I mean, Billy Gunn is a monster of a man. Watching him work in 2022 pops me tremendously. But man, that match felt long.
Oh, let me tell you though. When I was at Forbidden Door in Chicago, I tried to get a daddy ass chant going, and it didn't catch on. Nobody wanted to chant. They were all chanting ass boys, and I'm like, there's no ass boys out here. It's just Billy Gunn. And I'm like, it's daddy ass. And it didn't work. So I was so proud of Cleveland last night when he got in the ring and that big daddy ass chant broke out.
Yeah.
And daddy ass is over.
He is.
Appreciate that.
Super over.
But yeah, after the match was over, then the Acclaim tried to save Billy here, and they got jumped, and then in came Swerve and Our Glory for the save. And yeah, the Who's House part hit, and it got an eruption from the crowd, and they reacted, and I thought that was exactly what I was going for when I came up with it. I wanted it to kind of spring on the crowd like a, like obviously The Rock is the exception to so many rules, but I wanted it to be kind of like an if you smell kind of thing that just gets the crowd's attention immediately and they react. And I was like, I think Swerve's theme needs that. And I made it. I pitched it to Tony, and Tony was like, yes. And that was it. I got the order of events there wrong. I actually pitched the idea before I actually made it.
Look at the levels to Will's. This is why AEW music legend, Will Washington, the levels of like, this is how I had my idea crafted here of what I wanted to go for. God. Yeah, everybody's
but it worked
right
like,
now. It
I was happy. I was happy to see it actually, like the first week that it ran, my heart was in like the pit of my stomach because like there was barely any reaction. And I was like, oh shit. It was like a bad idea, and I tanked my cousin's career. What was I thinking? And of course, that was the night he won the tag titles. But then, like the following week, the Who's House hit. It was super over, and I was like, okay, I just needed to wait a week, is because nobody expected it the first week. And then third week, it was over again, and pretty much since then, Who's House hits, and it's
immediate
exactly
pop last night when that hit. Immediate pop.
Yeah. People can barely even hear the rumble in there. There's a rumble sound effect that's in there. It goes Who's House, and then it goes. And I don't even know what you would call that sound effect, but I put that in there too. Anyway, Mike from Indeed says, happy Thursday to you both. Between Mox versus Punk and the Trios match, that back half of Dynamite was some wild television. Motor City Machine Guns being added to the Trios changed my excitement. Do a 180. Okay.
I think you got more excited because, yeah, I was going to say, do we need to, there we go. Let's do our show, or we'll do the show. Is the audio okay?
I don't think it is. I don't think anybody can hear us.
Yeah, I grabbed my mic like a professional. That way my audio might still be okay. Because everybody can see my chair.
I did a 180 back in the other direction. So, thank you.
Hoping it's a good Thursday for you as well, Mike.
Yes, I hope so as well. What else we got? C says FTR are overrated in my opinion.
Wow.
You're entitled to your opinion.
That's a hot take. I hope the chat buries you as much as they've been burying me for this show. Uh-oh. That's scoops. Will's getting scoops.
Let's see. No, it's just Reg with funny stuff.
Oh. Reg is a great guy. He is putting over his guy Titus Alexander on the spotlight today. I know Reg is a fan of Titus Alexander. Will is enthralled by this message from Reg.
It's just funny stuff. It's people are the worst. Anyway,
what's Reg doing? What if I sent this link to him right now? You think he'd pop on? I'll send it to him.
Let's see. Bridget says, thank you for being so much fun to watch. I learned so much from you both. Thank you.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
And Jay Blood says, I just need to know how Jeremy is processing the Chet Holmgren news.
I mean, I think Jay Blood, I'm pretty sure. I could be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure Jay Blood is Jared Bailey. And I'm processing by that we are going to be bad again next year, but it sets the timeline back, and that's very, very unfortunate. But I'm fine. I'm celebrating a Stanley Cup still. I ain't worried about the basketball.
Eric Brady says, is it true Eddie Kingston is mad at Sammy Guevara because they ordered loaded nachos and Sammy ate all the best nachos with the meat and stuff?
It's a valid reason, honestly. It's a very valid reason to be mad at somebody. Would you be mad at somebody if you ordered these nachos and like they just ate all the good stuff? Well, like I would be.
Yeah, but I feel like you also have to be like nice enough as soon as you get like the loaded nachos to just like start like grab a fork and just like spread stuff evenly so that way.
What if you had to like go to the bathroom or something? So like but then you get up and then by the time you came back, all the good nachos were gone. We've seen, I don't know if you've seen the South Park episode, Will, but they got the KFC bucket in there, and then Cartman eats all the skin off the chicken.
Of course,
all the kids are getting all the kids are getting the groceries in. Like that's just a dick move. So Cartman deserved to be punched in the face.
Yes. Tom says, props to Cleveland booing Britt. No one else does. Yeah, you guys were in Pittsburgh sucks mode.
Well, I mean, I don't have a horse in this race. I don't care about Pittsburgh or Cleveland, honestly. Both fan bases kind of suck.
Well, the folks loved Kylan King, who got her second match on Dynamite in a row. They're definitely showcasing her a lot differently than they did a year ago. This is a new Kylan King.
It was a good match. Kylan King, I mean, she was there. Yeah, what has happened? I didn't know if it was just me or apparently it is your mic has gone insane here, Will.
Okay, then you're going to see Jeremy split in half again.
Okay, I'm going to be split in half. It's just me. All right, let's talk about King and her great match against Britt Baker. Not in the 9:30 spot. Now you or me. Oh, there we go. Not in the 9:30 spot, which is a big shocker, but good to see the women get bumped up here. And yeah, Britt won, which was to be expected. But I hope Kylan King, is she officially signed? You would know better than I would.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's a good question. I know that. So one of the things to look for, or to see whether or not somebody's at least under some kind of working agreement with AEW, and she definitely is at the moment, and that is evidenced by Greenfly. And if you happen to look at people's Twitter accounts, wrestlers' Twitter accounts, and you notice that, sometimes it'll say posted by Twitter for Android. Sometimes it'll say posted by Twitter for iPhone. Sometimes it'll say posted from a web browser, all of that. But if it says posted by Greenfly, so Greenfly is a service that companies use to make posts through their employees. And it's actually really easy to make posts through your employees using Greenfly, where basically all they have to do is authorize the Greenfly token, and they can make posts for you. And AEW
is this an ad read?
No, what I'm telling you.
Oh, I thought you were doing an ad read. That was great. Can Greenfly sponsor this show? I thought you were doing an ad read. I didn't want to cut you off, but then I was confused.
But AEW has since day one used Greenfly. That's a tool they use to make posts for their talent. And so usually you can tell if somebody's under some kind of working agreement if they have authorized Greenfly on their account. And I'm pretty sure she just had it like reauthorized because she just made some recent posts, or some recent posts were made through her Twitter account to promote Dynamite that were done through Greenfly.
Okay. I will take your word for this. I don't know if she's gotten the All Elite graphic.
She has not gotten the All Elite graphic. She never has. But I have said that, one of the things that Kylan King offers, as Sean mentioned last week, is that, look, Kylan King, this is a woman who is 6 foot and has a lot of things to offer athletically, especially on a brand that just had that out of Chris Statlander, and she's injured right now. And I feel like that's a void she could very much fill. And I would like to see her fill that.
Yeah, I mean, they need someone to sort of fill that role with Statlander out. Kylan King has proven herself. It seems like people enjoy the work of Kylan King. I enjoy her work. So keep her as a regular, because we see so many times that they get on the show and then they're not on the show anymore. So I would like to see her kind of have a consistent role on the show.
Yes. And David says, I think Google Fiber is coming to Colorado. I hope you can get it, Will. I hope so too. That'd be great. Because I literally only have Xfinity as an option. That's it. I can get nobody else. I moved into this subdivision 5 years ago, and I didn't move very far. It's less than a mile away, but I had other internet options. But for whatever reason, you enter my subdivision, Xfinity is the only option, and it sucks. It sucks because, like, it's fine. When Xfinity works, I don't even think about it. It's just internet I have in my house. But when it doesn't work, man, do I get pissed. And it's like I can't even, like, make a threat, right? Like, they'll look at me like if they price gouge me for something.
What are you gonna do, Will Washington? What are you gonna do? Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah, they'll be like, oh, well, tough shit that your internet's not working today. Go to dial-up, asshole. And oh, you can't get that either because guess who the phone lines are all through? Xfinity.
That's right. Like the cable companies, they just got you. Sorry about that one, Will.
Freaking got us. Jay Blood also says, setting up the Britt Kylan match with the angle on Dark is exactly how that should work when Dark becomes their women's show.
I don't know if Dark's going to be. I mean, they're doing all elite women at some point. I think that's a show that's going to happen. So we'll see. I'm fine with them setting up stuff on Dark. Everybody watches all the AEW programming. Everyone knows who all of these people are.
And if you don't, whatever. Like, the option is there to watch it. Like, that's the thing. Is
yes, it is.
You don't have to, but it is like, if you want to, go.
It is.
Go fucking ahead. Anyway, though.
Oh, Will's going robot again, everybody.
Have I really?
Yeah, I think so.
Ah! This one lasted a little bit longer.
It's I blame it on me that I'm here and now Will is he can't get his service to work. I'll take the complete blame for it. Yes, pile driver finisher. That's what I was.
Maybe it has something to do with the fact that I have like 100 tabs open. I don't know.
Maybe you should close the. Why do you have 100 tabs open?
Why don't you have 100 tabs open? I think is the better question.
As I know how to manage my load when it comes to that stuff. That didn't sound right, but you know what I mean. Oh no!
Do I gotta save this show?
Apparently so.
Well, listen. I can't because I'm heading over to FightfulSelect.com to post even more on Eddie and Sammy. I've gotten sort of both sides of the situation aspect.
Was it a left or a right hook?
So it wasn't like that was a thing. Like I will say this: when I reached out to Eddie, like he wouldn't like confirm or deny it, but he was like, wasn't a brawl, and I was wrong. That's pretty much all he said. He's like, I was wrong by doing that. Shouldn't have done it. And he's like, I want that to be known. I was wrong because I was wrong. And I was like, you know what? I respect that an awful lot.
And we talked about that at the beginning of the show, that was been his temperament on it and his tone.
Yeah, and respect to him for saying that, doing that, because it'd be very easy for him to just roll with the Twitter temperament of, that's Eddie, type of thing. And as I tweeted earlier, I kept thinking back to him telling me that when he was younger, one of his friends corked a wiffle ball bat with rocks and nails. And I'm like, well, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been worse. But
Sean, can you please, since you have reached out to Eddie, please tell him that the fiance says Eddie is never wrong and he is a hero. Relay that message to him, and hopefully he does something with it. He's a hero, okay, and he's never wrong.
Super chat from Ray says, Motor City Machine Gun still with Impact, talent sharing again.
Never heard of this team.
Saban's under contract. Shelley isn't, from what I understand.
but very much a footage sharing situation here. The footage they used was from Impact.
But I mean, it seems like Impact's been pretty chill with that. When I asked, like, hey, did you all buy the rights to Christian's theme? I was told, no, Impact was just pretty chill about it. They were pretty cool about us just using it. And you know what? Impact got to use Christian, so I think they should be all right with it. But yeah, FightfulSelect.com.
What did Sammy
update on this.
What did Sammy say? You said you reached out to both sides. Do we got to subscribe to Fightful Select to get Sammy's side?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. I respect that.
Yes, but I think there were some communication issues there. I think that was it. And listen, my cat's in here meowing at me. He's not even supposed to be in here. I got to get to work.
All right.
Day After Dynamite.
Finally, Sean's working. Doesn't do anything all day.
All right. The big thing on the show, though. Now, we should have known some shenanigans were up. I knew there were shenanigans, but I didn't know what they were going to be because they had said earlier in the night when they interviewed Death Triangle, they were like, in our main event, I thought, your main event? Okay, so we know that we're going to have whatever is going to happen with this tag or the World Championship match is going to happen well before then. What is going on? Top of the hour. We get there. CM Punk, Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley makes his way down to the ring. The interim world champion. Big entrance, wild thing, crowd's way into it. CM Punk comes down to the ring. Great look on his face. I thought, I've watched this like 4 or 5 times now because I've had time to do so. CM Punk, for a guy who knew what was coming, I have to say, sold all of this perfectly cockily, right? He comes down looking all like, all right, time to make short work of this chump. The way he looks off to the crowd, it's clobbering time. Like, he did not boo-boo face this at all. Talking about CM Punk, the professional, he definitely... I think that's why it was such a shocker to people, because he did not enter this scenario looking anything less than 100% game face. Like, I am ready to kick this dude's ass.
Well, good. He was a professional. Good. That's how it should be.
Yeah. It's a very pro Moxley crowd. Lots of boos for CM Punk.
Yes.
Didn't even feel like there were boos for Jon Moxley as much as like there were pro CM Punk people. But nope, Jon Moxley's here.
No one booed Moxley.
And he's from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
That's a guy you should boo in Cleveland.
Cleveland, they're a bunch of idiots, though. Will, like that's I told you, the Cleveland fan base is dumb. They can't make up their mind. It's just Ohio. It's like, yeah, Ohio, let's go. We're just going Ohio over everything. Cleveland Cincinnati rivalry is off when it comes to like representing Ohio, especially against a guy from Chicago.
All right, fine, that's fair. Either way, holy shit. So, match actually got started intensely, and the crowd was way into it. Big chants, big cheers. Let's go, Moxley, CM Punk, and CM Punk goes for a kick, lands kind of awkwardly. It's more so he spins kind of awkwardly, starts clutching the leg, and Moxley starts taking advantage. Moxley realizes something's up here, and he starts hitting Punk with the elbows, attacks the foot, hits him with 2 Death Riders. 1, 2, 3. We have a new world champion.
Yes. It ruled. It absolutely ruled. I'm all for these like kind of squash style matches. I loved it when Goldberg and Lesnar did this. It's great. It's great because it's... Go ahead.
Is the All-Atlantic Championship the only belt that hasn't changed hands on a Dynamite this year? I think it is.
I think so. Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think all the rest have changed hands on Dynamite this year.
Yeah. The TBS. I guess that was I guess the first Crowned on Dynamite. Yeah,
so, it was Crowned on Dynamite. So
true. Okay.
All-Atlantic, only one that hasn't.
Well, I mean, has it even been defended on Dynamite? Defended on like
it's only been defended
overseas and stuff.
Overseas and then played on Dark.
Yeah. So, I love this. I thought it was great. I was shocked, completely shocked by it. A bunch of dorks are saying that CM Punk, he sold the wrong foot. The wrong foot got injured. Again, dorks, because he kicked with the right, but he sold the left. And so people are like, oh, they did it. He didn't, or he either kicked with the wrong foot or he sold the wrong foot. Whatever you want to say. It's people who clearly haven't taken a step in life. They've spent their entire life just in bed. They've never moved off their chair or their couch, because if you've had an injured foot, I have an injured foot, Will. Look at this. Look, my foot is wrapped up. Put me on Wiki Feet, everybody. My foot is wrapped up. And when I step, it hurts. I don't have to kick anybody with it.
Jeremy Wiki Feet right now.
When I step, it hurts. And if I put a bunch of weight on it, if I try to throw a kick with my other foot, it's going to hurt. Okay?
Because you're taking the weight off of the other foot and therefore putting all your weight on that foot.
Right. And
that's how this works.
Yes. It doesn't seem like it's difficult to understand, but for some reason, people are like, well, that's not the foot he kicked with. Why is he selling? No, the left foot was injured. And so when he puts all the weight on that foot, it's probably going to hurt a little bit. If it's not fully repaired, it's not fully healthy, which is what the story we're supposed to be telling here. Like, it seems pretty simple to me. We see athletes get injured all the time by just stepping on their plant foot. Punters, when they come down on their plant foot, that's the one that gets hurt, not the one they're kicking with. All right? Get off the couch.
Yeah, I don't know what. I was shocked by this. It was cool, but man, I was just stunned, fucking shocked that this was the ending. And like I said, I was 5 minutes behind. So I ended up knowing about this without seeing the match, because during entrances, everybody starts texting. But yeah, the crowd seemed so what the hell. I think everybody was in such a what the hell moment.
Yeah.
That I think everybody missed the Christian promo that came next, because
I did.
Holy shit, Moxley is the champ.
Moxley was still celebrating in the crowd while they're airing Christian's promo and stuff. So like, I'm over looking at the crowd where Moxley is like having a party and everything. Christian said some stuff. I'm sure it was fine, but no one was really paying attention to it.
Yeah. Man, some people have some weird takes in the chat. I'm just reading some of the stuff where like, dude, we're not Tony Khan. What the fuck do we care? But
I might be.
Yeah, it's true. We did find out recently that you're Jimmy Van, so I can also
That's
see
true. Exactly.
that you are also Tony Khan.
Somebody's going to accuse me of owning AEW.
Ricky Starks.
Hell yeah.
Came down to the ring to cut a very emotional promo on Powerhouse Hobbs.
Robo
and
Will's
declare,
back.
We'll get through this.
Ricky Starks with his sweet green vest. Ricky Starks, a legend in the Lambert household, with his sweet green vest, showed up and cut just a fantastic promo, much like Daniel Garcia, showing just great emotion, getting the crowd invested in this whole story. I loved it. Ricky, I'm glad Ricky is getting a match at All Out, a singles match, a match that has some juice behind it, a lot of juice behind it with the Powerhouse Hobbs story. I'm glad it's a big match for Ricky. He deserves this spot. It is his time. Like John Moxley, like John Cena, Ricky Starks' time is now, and I'm glad he's getting mic time.
Wait. First
Good
off,
for Ricky.
John Moxley was the one saying his time is now, and he said it multiple times.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like John Cena, like John Moxley. Ricky Starks' time is now.
But Ricky Starks, yeah, I thought this was a great promo. I wish the crowd had been a little more into it, but I feel like they were so just taken out of everything.
I was into it because I was hanging on every word this man said. That is how I was into it. I was just listening, looking into the gaze of Ricky Starks as he pours his heart out on the microphone.
I thought it was great. I thought It's a really passionate promo. And I think he's going to be an excellent babyface going forward. I'm really excited for this. And, but also Hobbs has been looking like a star lately. This could go either way. The All Out card went from like 0 to 100 real quick, because all of a sudden on the card officially now we've got Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. We have Swerve in Our Glory versus The Acclaimed. Fucking told you all, by the way. I said that's where they were going. And for all the people, and thank you, Roy, who says, I, for one, embrace auto-tuned Will. Thank you. But I had said, I was like, you know what? The Acclaimed getting these wins on TV, something tells me this isn't for nothing. Stuff just doesn't happen on this show. They're usually
one win on TV.
A big one. In a fucking
big.
dumpster match.
Yeah, but like I got no problem with the Acclaim. They're my favorite.
And also acknowledging them as the winningest team in the history of AEW, which is also true, by the way.
They got a tag team title shot earlier this year, and they lost, didn't they? Like on Dynamite, and they've got like one win on Dynamite since then. It was a big match. It was a dumpster match against, I'm pretty sure, the Ass Boys, who are unranked and had like no wins on Dynamite. So cool. This is why I can't get into the rankings. Do stories. Just give me some stories. At least it's not a triple threat tag team match.
No, I don't
a little
think
bit of story behind this.
But also, I don't know. I mean, nobody ever said it's just wins on Dynamite. It's wins, period.
I know everybody watches Dark. I know it's not just Dynamite. I wish for the tag.
But nobody
division.
says you have to watch. But the funny thing is, also nobody says you have to watch any of that stuff. It's just it exists.
Will, don't you think like there could be a little bit more story behind this stuff? Like the Acclaimed have been tied in with the Ass Boys for pretty much the entire year, and then Swerve in Our Glory like saves them, and it's like we respect you. We're gonna do a match, but we really haven't had like any kind of ties to you. I just want like a little bit of story to this stuff, not just
I wish this would have just kicked off a few weeks ago.
Yeah, like
back when I was like
something.
I thought this would be the match for All Out. I would have liked to have probably seen the build start a couple of weeks ago and not here. But otherwise, this is the right match to me.
I got no problem with the match. I just wish there was a little bit more to it. That's all. I just want a little bit more to it.
Hector says, Will to star in the next Terminator. Thank you, Hector. But finally, we get to our main event. And boy, what a main event. Death Triangle versus Aussie Open and Will Ospreay. On one end, Aussie Open and Will Ospreay, of course. Like, we have to get to a confrontation with Kenny. But are we really going to get to a confrontation with Kenny? That feels too good to be true.
Yeah.
They're going to stall us out. They just have to. We know how this stuff works. But on the other hand, like, if you have a match and you have a big thing people want to see, you should do it. And sure enough, they went there. But before we got there, we actually did get to see what was a phenomenal match of the Flippy Doos. If you are not into the Flippy Doos, then I will tell you your mileage will vary on this. If you're one of those guys who's like, this isn't wrestling, this is gymnastics, then boy, oh boy, this is gymnastics and a half.
Yeah.
You are going to hate this shit. You are going to pull up your Jim Cornette podcast and be like, I need to hear what he has to say about this, because this isn't real wrestling. They didn't grab any holds. They were just doing a routine. But man, if you like some fucking routines, this shit was great. And I love some fucking routines. They started out Will Ospreay and pretty much from jump, Will Ospreay and Ray Phoenix decided, hey, we're going to show you that we're Will Ospreay and Ray motherfucking Phoenix. And they had a little cool flip off. And then the match pretty much went balls to the wall from there. Went through 3 commercial breaks. Did you have fun with this in the crowd? Because the crowd seemed like they were.
Oh, crowd was into it very much. So I was with the fiance, and she's like, I don't know about doing Punk and Moxley right now. And then the main event with this trios match. I don't think the crowd's going to be into it. And then like from the first opening sequence of Ospreay and Phoenix, she's like, okay, I was wrong. Crowd loves all of this stuff. I was like, yeah, like they're going to go crazy for this shit. Like it's a lot of great sequences. And it was, I enjoy that stuff. I will say watching live when you can kind of see the setup a little bit more. There was like one moment where Aussie Open is just like literally just on a knee outside the ring. It was when Phoenix and Pac and Ospreay were doing all the stuff on their top rope, and Aussie Open had been just like on a knee, not actually selling anything, just like chilling on a knee for like 5 minutes. It felt like it's like you can get up there and like help them, you know, but like they got to set up their sequences and everything. It loses a little bit when you can see the peripheral stuff and you're there live on television. I'm sure you can't see any of that. So like it looks cool, but they're just outside, they're selling, they're hurt and everything. But it loses a little bit when you're live and you're just like, just go help your guy. Like you're just chilling, watching the action. Like go help him. What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I know the spot where Pac did the backflip and he was trying to find his positioning, and the other two guys were outside kind of waiting, and they never showed us the other two guys, so we never had to like see that. But I imagine from the crowd perspective, that was probably one of those moments of really.
Yeah.
Dash says Mark Davis got Pixar mom booty.
It's my favorite comment ever.
But yeah, I thought this was dope. I thought it was a lot of fun. I will say that the Kip Sabian spot at ringside was actually a genuine shocker, because I mean, what happened to that guy? Like, was he just kidnapped? He had his mouth taped, so I assume where did he go after Kip Sabian? I mean, after Pac pulled the box off his head.
Tune in to Road to AEW All Out on YouTube next week to find out what happened to the Kip Sabian guy who was kidnapped. That's where they will follow up on that angle.
They don't do Road to pay-per-views on YouTube. Those are
Road
called
to Dynamite All Out.
Those are called Countdown when it's to a pay-per-view. It's Road to when it's to Dynamite.
Yeah, Road to Dynamite. Road to Dynamite All Out. Isn't that what I said? If not, that's what I meant.
But yeah, this was just a lot of fun. And once Kip Sabian got involved, that was his grand return to Dynamite, by the way. That was the first time we'd seen Kip Sabian's full face. And he's been on Dynamite in box form for for like a year. But all of a sudden now we got to see him, and he attacked Pac, setting us up for a potential All-Atlantic Championship match. But as far as Will Ospreay is concerned, he and Aussie Open got the victory, and then Kenny's music hits. Holy shit, we're actually getting Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega on television. It's going to be in a 6-man. But this is our first glimpse at Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. And they had a promo after the show went off the air that's been uploaded to YouTube. I thought it was very good.
I thought it was fantastic. Being there live, and Kenny jokes of like, nobody's going to see this or hear this. And then he's like, all right, go try to fill my shoes. Like you couldn't do in New Japan. And Ospreay's just talking a bunch of shit. And then Kenny's talking a bunch of shit. Don Callis and his sparkly ass shoes come out to hold back Kenny Omega with the Young Bucks. It was good stuff. It was really, really good stuff.
Very good. If you haven't seen it, they uploaded the entire thing. Watch it over on AEW's YouTube. But either way, let's talk about the ratings, shall we? Because here they are. TV ratings, August 24th. AEW did 1,049,000. Roughly in range. That was good enough for a 0.34, and that would put it number 1 back on cable. And the number 6 overall in broadcast, when you include broadcast television, because Big Brother spanked its ass. But that is up over last week's show. Of course it was. It had a title match. That's it.
Great.
That's a fairly
Can I say
unremarkable
that I
rating.
don't care about ratings, Will? Does that vary? Like the gimmick, you're supposed to care about ratings on Twitter, and it's supposed to be life or death with this stuff. It's at where it's at. It's great that it did over 1 million, but
I'll tell you why I care about ratings.
Okay.
It is the only metric of success. That's the only thing you've got. And if there were any other metric to measure, and the thing is, there are plenty that companies have, but as far as television is concerned, and knowing how successful a product is, the only metric you've got is ratings. Let's read a couple of Humper Chats. Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer. Welcome, Jeremy, as official co-host and not run-in. Want a swerve with the women's four-way and Hater to take it. Like I've been predicting, I think that's where we get the split. I think that Britt would want Jamie to just lay down, because then you get the pinfall and you get the championship, and Hater won't. Let's see. Van Twinblade says, it's happening, Will. Delirious versus Matt Sydal, or Delirious and Matt Sydal, excuse me, versus Warhorse and Dan the Dad. The two guys that put St. Louis on the indie map in the 2000s versus the two guys who are the faces of today's. Van Twinblade always giving us the updates on what's happening in independent wrestling in St. Louis. Always appreciate it. Always appreciate the Glory Pro updates. Thank you, Van Twinblade. And thank you, everybody who tuned in to this episode. And Van Twinblade even said, don't forget Humpers. I didn't forget Humpers, Van Twinblade. You spent $2 extra dollars.
Give a super chat to make sure you didn't forget the Humpers. Tremendous.
I didn't forget. I had it. I had it queued up. And hey, thanks everybody for checking out Day After Dynamite, the third edition here on Main Fightful. And we got a couple of run-ins from Sean Ross Sapp. That's always fun.
Stole my gimmick.
He did. Don't forget to check out Grapsity this Saturday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. That's right here, youtube.com/Fightful. I've also got a new show coming that features two Fightful people, but it's not on Fightful. youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. I'll be hosting After the Week with Denise. We've been working on that for quite some time, and it was a show where we talk about the things that happened throughout the week. And go figure, our first episode is just fucking full of shit, right? Because all of a sudden Johnny Gargano's back, and we got to talk about guys potentially having been punched in the face and hiding in bathroom stalls. And there's a lot of stuff that me and Denise get to talk about this Sunday on the inaugural edition of After the Week. It's me and Denise, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. And yeah, there's going to be plenty more, I'm sure, because there's still more wrestling to happen this week.
NWA 74, Will. I know you're excited about that.
Ooh, I have to add that to our shared Google Doc, I guess, to make sure that Denise is aware that, hey, we also have to talk about NWA 74 on this week's inaugural edition. By the way, though, I've been hyping this up, but it's like my favorite fucking thing. The intro to that show is literally my favorite intro of any show I've done. Did I show you, Jeremy? Did I show you that intro?
I don't think I've seen this, no.
Oh my God. It's so great.
All right, you'll have to send it to me.
It's so great. Shout out to Mikey Ruckus for that intro. It's really good. But hey, folks, I got to go pick up my kids. So thank you for joining us here on Day After Dynamite. For Jeremy Lambert, I'm William Washington. I will see you next time. Have a great day.